If you needed a welding paycheck in 90 days, would you choose a short, skills-based certificate or a longer degree pathway? Welcome to Weld, where each week we explore different pathways in the welding industry. I'm your host, Beau Wigington, and this week I'm joined by Aaron Wulk, the Director of Applied Technical Programs at South Piedmont Community College. He trains welders on alloys like Inconel, oversees an accredited testing facility, and helps students and employers connect through stackable certificates and real-world expectations. We dive in right now. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience, just in case they're not familiar with you and what you do?
Aaron Wulk. I'm the Director of Applied Technical Programs at South Piedmont. I got my start in high school, got a job at a really a custom fab shop. I mean, I welded carbon, stainless, aluminum, every welding process. It was a really good learning environment because I didn't go to school.
You learned everything on the job. What would you say the biggest differences between a classroom and industry environment are?
Classrooms are a lot more controlled.
And forgiving, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can make mistakes, right? But if I'm showing you how to do something in the industry as we're like working on a job together, you can't screw up. There's still times where I'll get a question and I'll be like, you know what, man? I don't know. But I'll help you find the answer, you know?
Well, and here, like this school, you do not just like your basic like curriculum, like you can come here and go through welding training, but you also work with companies and they need you to teach people how to weld stuff outside of just carbon steel. Right now, you're training people on Inconel. What are the big differences between teaching someone to weld Inconel and teaching someone to weld carbon steel?
From all different aspects of the welding process, it's going to be different. Like you're using different gases when you're doing Inconel. Typically, you're going to run 100% argon, where, welding on carbon, you're doing 75-25. The manipulation of your puddle, like the puddle characteristics, are completely different. It's a real sluggish type of puddle, and I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're first like learning this is they want it to look like a carbon puddle, right? And those are a lot more fluid and they wet in real good. So they'll crank up their volts and then it gets too hot. It's kind of trusting in yourself that the puddle is doing
its job,
what it's supposed to be doing, right? Yeah.
So for people out there that have never welded something that they have to worry about, post or preheat, what is hot cracking?
So hot cracking will happen with materials that have a fast heat dissipation. So you're putting in a bunch of heat into it, but then the heat is going away really fast. So it's making that weld brittle, and it's going to crack. Typically, it's going to crack right down the center. So you can do like preheat and postheat, to control that, and your heat input while you're welding is a big factor too. I mean, with processes like gas metal arc welding, that's, you're going to find it in there. But like with TIG welding, you have way more control over your heat. So you see it a little bit less in TIG welding than you do with MIG welding.
That's all what I've always heard. Like when people are like, I'm welding some Inconel, we're doing it with TIG.
Yes.
And you told me here you train people on stick and MIG.
Right.
So like what applications in the field are people going to be welding Inconel with MIG welding?
Well, so the people that we're training right now, they're doing it, it's for a foundry. So they're welding like big cast pieces together, and then like any type of leftover remnants from pieces that were poured out, they recycle all that stuff back together. So they're welding like big
stuff
together. So to use TIG welding and something like that would be impractical,
just take too long.
Yeah.
What are other types of places in the industry you'll find that?
So typically you're going to find it in aerospace. Aerospace uses a lot of Inconel. Nuclear power plants use it. Auto industry uses it for like your more high performance vehicles because of its durability and it's
very tough material.
It is.
It can hold up to. I've also heard of like acid factories, like that super corrosive stuff. Like that's what you're going to want to use. But most schools you're going to go and you're going to learn carbon, maybe stainless. You might touch aluminum, but what is teaching people these exotic alloys, or even just they get to try it once? What is that going to do for them in the future?
If they get out to a job, they have at least a little bit of exposure to this type of welding on this type of material. So they're not going in completely blind. They know that if I'm going to be MIG welding on this material, I need to run 100% argon.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, instead of 75-25, right?
When you are teaching people Inconel or these other alloys, what are some of the most common problems people have picking it up?
Honestly, I think a lot of the problems are the same problems that they have with a lot of the other processes and materials they have. They're impatient. They just want to start welding.
I just want to weld.
Yeah. So improper cleaning is a big one. I preach cleaning all the time.
Any kind of welding, you probably want to be clean.
Yeah. If you're doing multi passes, you want everything to be clean. It's just getting rid of that one factor that could potentially.
Yeah, the one thing that's throwing you off and you're like, I don't understand what's wrong, is you got dirty metal.
Yeah, right.
Today, I'm going to get to try a little bit of the MIG style, but you also do stick. And you were telling me it's like night and day, like totally different beasts.
Right.
So if someone is ever asked to stick weld Inconel, what should they be prepared for?
It's going to suck.
Just
bad.
Not going to be fun.
It's probably not going to be their best day of welding. Yeah, it's a lot of the times I compare it to like 60-10, but worse.
Just more erratic.
Super erratic, and you're not getting the puddle that you think you're supposed to be getting. It's more like a ropey puddle to it, and in a weld profile, and it's just, God, it sucks.
Yeah. So your school here, it's a little bit different where, you have your regular track for welders to come through, but you have like workforce development and just like training directly for workforce. So what's the difference between like career driven versus degree driven?
Career driven, like they want in and they want out. They just teach me what I need to know so I can go get a job. So we use that a lot for either people that really know what they want to do. I want to MIG weld in this environment, and that's all I want to do. Great, come in, do a short-term certificate, and go get your job. Or we'll do short-term stuff for misplaced workers, people that lost their jobs, or like their company shut down or whatever the reason may be, and they need to upskill to, I don't want to say to be more relevant, but they need skills that are going to get them back.
Like more diversity in their skills.
Yeah, and better support for their families and stuff like that, make a good living doing that stuff. So we have those shorter term for those people. And we have it for every process. And then, if, say you work full time and you can only take classes at night, well, you can come in, take these couple classes, get that certificate. Come in, take a couple more classes, get this certificate. And eventually those are going to add up to a diploma.
Hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. If you're trying to pick up some new processes or skills and don't know where to start, check out the American Welding program. They have courses covering all kinds of different processes, even things like metallurgy. And because you are a listener of the podcast, you could save yourself 20% by using the code WELD20 at checkout. Go see all the different courses available from the American Welding program over at americanweldingprogram.org. Now, let's get back to the show. Outside of just like having these career-based trainings, you also are an ATF. Yeah. So people out there that don't know about what an ATF is, what is an ATF?
So ATF stands for Accredited Testing Facility. So people can come in. They don't have to be a student, and they don't necessarily have to have welding experience either. I mean, You could walk in with zero welding. It's probably not going to turn out very well, but
it's like, I've never touched a welder. I want to pay and get tested.
Yeah, bad day.
Well, it's not an easy process to become an ATF.
No.
Like from what I've heard. So what is the process? So say I have a school and we want to attract more people. Like we have enough students, but we want to get more involved.
Right.
Like what is the process of becoming an ATF?
It's very similar to getting your CWI, right? It's very black and white. You have to have, quality assurance manual. Who are the people that are checking the material and making sure that material has heat numbers so you can trace it? How are you storing the documents, and what documents do you have to qualify these people? What weld procedures do you, like it goes through this whole thing. How to deal with grievances and
oh dang! So it's like more than just welding.
Yeah, yep. And like the whole like hierarchy of your organization, like where do you fit in, as opposed to where the vice presidents and everybody, like they want that whole chain of command.
Dang.
So everything's being accounted for, and so it took a little bit. It took some time writing that thing out, but
was it worth it?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. It's not like you're gonna walk in and be like, "Look at me."
Yeah.
The employer's gonna be like, "Cool, go do a weld test."
Do a test.
You know, you don't get to like bypass that stuff. You still got to do it, but you know what to expect.
Yeah. You've done it before.
Right.
It's definitely a resume builder. My problem with certification in the U.S. is that you get certified, then you have to get recertified every 6 months.
6 months,
and
yeah.
it's just like, man, that's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah.
If you got like more than one cert, you know.
Yep. When I worked in industry, we did all in-house certifications, right? And I had a whole bunch of them. And the only problem with that is that when you leave, they stay there.
Mm-hmm.
These credentials that you're getting, nobody gets to take those from you.
Just from your personal experience, you know, learning in a school versus learning on the job. I know we kind of touched on it earlier. Like, I feel like a lot of welding students and people getting into the industry, they have this impression that, like, I'm going to get out of school and I'm going to be ready to do anything. So, like, how do you prepare your students for going into industry compared to learning here at the school?
Just be quiet and listen. You don't know everything there is to know about welding. Yeah, some of you are really good, but that's, you know, a fraction of what you're going to learn when you're out in the industry. You're going to learn all these little tricks that these guys have been, or girls have been, you know, figuring out for years in that position. I think that's a kind of a shocker to some of them when I say that to them. But I'm not doing it to like put them down or by any means. But I want them to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. Outside of just industry, you do metal sculptures. You know, that's a big part of your welding career. For me, when I went through school, I saw all of the people making metal art, and I was like, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I would like to do that, you know, but it's hard to find, like, you can't go get like a career at a job making metal art most of the time. Like, sometimes, like, there's some places you could go.
It's pretty niche.
Yeah, so it's like you're pretty much, you're going to be an entrepreneur. Like, you're not going to be an employee. You have to, like, you're forced into it. So, like, what is that aspect? Like, do any of your students go on to try to go and do metal art and ask you questions? Because we just met down at Skills where you were were you a judge or were you a proctor?
I'm a judge for the sculpture.
Okay. Yeah.
And because I'm in education, I sit on the National Education Committee for that competition, but then I'm also a judge. Yeah.
Because I had no idea, like, before we went down there and I started looking, like, diving in deep, I was like, I gotta see what all we're going to see. Because I thought it was just going to be weld tests, you know?
Yeah.
And I had no idea there was a whole sculpture competition. So, like, that's really cool. But, you know, it's not every school out there is getting people into the art side.
Right. When I was in Wisconsin, I worked at the college on the Skills, and I did coach these weld sculpture students before I became a judge. And it was so much fun just seeing, like, what they're seeing in the sculpture versus what I'm seeing in the sculpture. And, you know, they want to do this or they want it to look like this. And then I can throw out a whole bunch of different ideas as to how they can get that aesthetic look that they're looking for. And that's another huge learning opportunity because they're learning when I turn the gas off and I weld, it looks like the moon, you know?
Yeah. Got nice craters there.
Yeah. Sometimes things come into play that where you've made mistakes, you know, if you worked in industry, if you're coming into doing artwork later on in life, some of the mistakes that you made in industry might come into play for your sculpture. Mm-hmm. You know, it all depends on the aesthetics that you're looking for. So it's a huge learning experience for people that want to try to do that stuff.
We've gone down multiple routes here.
Yeah.
But as far as like somebody out there, they don't know if I should be looking for a career training path or if I should be looking for a degree. Like, what's your advice to them? Like, how do you help people find their place in the welding industry?
Oh,
deep question.
Yeah,
deep question.
That is a tough
one. It's not
one.
on the list, dude.
I guess first thing I would do is I would spend some time talking to them to see what their situation is. Every situation is different. And so that's kind of the way that I'm going to try to steer them. I'm never going to try to like, absolutely everybody has to go this way because not everybody has to go that way. All depends on the situations that they're dealing with. But on the flip side of that, if they're doing the short term and they get through that, then cool. Now you got a different job and you're doing better for yourself. Come back and learn some more. Keep using that new knowledge that you're getting to keep moving up that ladder.
Yeah.
I absolutely will always encourage somebody to learn more.
The big part that was hard for me was finding a community in the welding industry, right? Like right out of school. So how do you guide your students and people coming through your school to connect with other welders or get involved with the industry?
Right. So we have our advisory committee meetings where we have people from the industry that sit on these committees. So we'll do like open houses and have these companies come in. And so the students we have right now can talk to these people. And we have throughout the semester, we'll have different companies come in and talk to them and tell them about what they do at their company and what their industry is like. But usually just having the students come here, and once they start going through these classes, they kind of create a little crew, and they help each other. Because I love seeing that too, because it's not like I'm not helping you because I want to be better. But if you're helping that person be better, you're helping yourself be better. You know, you're helping the whole industry be better. So I think I'm glad a lot of the mindset is starting to go that way, where people are helping other people and not, trying to use their head as a step stool to get higher up. So they kind of form their own little communities as they come through and help each other. And some of them end up going to get jobs together and just keep going from there.
Well, it's been a lot of information.
Yeah.
But if people didn't get enough information about the college here, where do they go to find out about the different programs you have?
Go to our website, spcc.edu. We got a brand new website that they put up. Yeah, and then just going to the manufacturing and welding. I think we have several different options for the welding. The short-term certificates, like the basic welding certificate. We have the diploma. We have the ATF. We have a bunch of different options for people to do. So if it's just one little thing they want to do, that's great. If they want to do the whole diploma, that's even better. I don't want to pigeonhole any student. they should have some form of an understanding of all of it so that they can make up their mind where they want to go. I mean, if they're set focused on doing this type of welding on this type of material, great, cool. I'll help you get there. But
there's so much more that you could be doing. Well, and then as far as your art, you said that you're getting things together to launch that. Where can people find your work at?
I'm on Instagram under Black Mirror Sculptures. Being that I moved down here, built a new shop. So I'm excited about I'm like this close.
So close. Well, I appreciate you for having me out here. I can't wait to embarrass myself trying to weld some Inconel. And
we won't let you do that.
I'm going to be a pro. I'll be a pro. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Weld, and thank you, Aaron, for having me out to the school. It was awesome seeing everything you got going on down there and learning how to do a little bit of Inconel. It's not every day you get to weld that stuff, so I really appreciate it. If you're trying to pick up some new skills or you want to go and do the whole degree pathway, make sure you check out what they got going on over there at South Piedmont Community College. I also want to give a huge shout out to the American Welding program for helping us all learn about different pathways available in the welding industry and for giving us all 20% off with the code WELD20 when you head over to AmericanWeldingProgram.org. I know I learned a ton about Inconel in this episode, but what did you learn? You can actually leave comments on Spotify and YouTube if that's where you're watching. We would love to hear what you think, what you want to hear, and we'll try to make it happen. I hope everyone has a super safe and productive week, and if you're at FabTech next week, come see us. Our booth is going to be B10011 or 111. But until next time, we'll see you out there.